Okay, it is Monday, but game week Wednesday, so just trying to get my bearings. Excited to go down to Georgia Tech, play a really good, tough, physical team. Very well coached. Brent's done a great job, him and his staff, and had a heck of a win last week against Miami. When you look at their football team, as you would expect, physical group of guys, offensively, played two quarterbacks in the last game, and so preparation-wise really have to get ready for both quarterbacks and whether or not King can throw the football the way he was before, or they're going to use him more as a runner. But there'll be some adjusting going on, obviously, on our side. They've only been sacked 4 times all season, and lean into their run game, a million different ways to run the ball and do a good job with the stretch game, with the counter game, and obviously the play actions and nakeds and things that come off of them. The running backs, good rotation in the backfield. You see 3 different backs playing and all do a nice job. I think Jamal Haynes is an elite player, and you see good speed across the board in their perimeter players, their slot receiver. Rutherford does a really good job for them in their jet game and is a good football player. On defense, I've played against this defensive coordinator. I think he's really good. They're sound and physical. I like their defensive line a lot. I really enjoy watching their interior players. The transfer they got, number 99 from Penn State, is really a good player. I enjoy watching him. Both defensive ends rush the passer well. They're schematically don't do a ton on first and second down, but third down, a variety of things you have to prepare for at quarterback, very multiple, and do a good job, statistically against the run game on defense. Both number 9 and 32 are good pass rushers, and you can see they've used not just developmentally getting guys better, but adding some really good pieces out of the portal, particularly on their defense. Thursday night game, nationally televised game, senior day for them. I'm expecting a really good environment with crowd noise and excited. I know our players are excited for an opportunity to go compete against a good football team like Georgia Tech and get to do it on a national stage. Questions?
All right, use your raising emojis. Do you have anything? The JC.
You mentioned the defensive coordinator. Does it make a difference that you played against them last year?
Oh, yeah, it does. I think anytime you've gone up against someone, you can go back and see how they defended you or what they were like if they're on the offensive side, how they attacked you. Obviously, same offense for us schematically, so a lot of different parts on the field than last year in that game against Duke when we played their DC. And he's got different parts. So, there's going to be some differences. But philosophically, you can look back and see what he did and how much carries forward with the players that he has now. He's a good coach. He's done a good job. He did a really good job with Elko, and that's continued down there. And I have a lot of respect for their defensive line coach, too. He's a really good football coach. They've got some good guys on their staff.
Andrea?
Dave, I'm wondering if you could just maybe describe a little bit the sense of urgency or the focus you've seen from the guys here over the last 10 days, knowing that you've got 2 games left to try and make a bowl.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's what we've been talking about. It's how you finish. At this point, you got 2 opportunities and need at least one to be in a bowl situation. Urgency, I think, every week. There's urgency in these football programs, particularly ours. You definitely feel the sand running out of the hourglass with some of your players as seniors that are, we had senior week last week, but, you get into these series of lasts with some guys that you've put a lot of time in with, and last road trip for us this week, even though we're on the road next week, it's a local game. So there's definitely that want to continue. These guys have practiced really well. I thought our practice last night was one of our better practices that we've had, and weird having a bye back-to-back 2 weeks apart this late in the season. But it was good mentally and physically for the guys, and you can see the there's some resolve. There's that NC State grit, I think, that you see in this program that we've always had, and how we finish matters. And now we got to go do it against a team that's peaking a little bit. The way they played against Miami, it was fun to watch. How hard they fought in that football game. They were very physical in that game.
Ethan?
Hey Dave, you kind of mentioned that it's a little strange having the byes so close to each other. I was wondering if now that you have 2 byes in the middle of the season, do you guys approach the rest and the practice schedule the same way the second bye week, or was it a little different because it's a Thursday night game and all of that?
Yeah, it was different. Much different than the first. We were beat up coming out of that 8-week run, particularly with the last game being at Cal, and that trip took a lot out of us sleep-wise. So, and we had 3 more days on the back end of the second week. So this one's been a little more accelerated. Did give them some time, the veterans in particular, the first week of it. But we had to get back into the game prep faster because the game being on a Thursday.
Jaden?
Yeah, now that you've watched the film from 2 weeks ago, what do you think stood out the most to you?
I couldn't hear your question, sorry.
Now that you've watched the film from 2 weeks ago, is there anything specific that really stuck out to you from that game?
Yeah, there's a lot of missed opportunities. We were terrible in the red zone. I mean, that game came down to not scoring enough points. Not that they all don't, but when you have as many opportunities that we had in the red zone, we were down there 6 times and got 1 touchdown, settled for field goals, missed a makeable field goal. So you have to give them credit for stopping us, but we did not execute at a high enough level to deserve to win that football game in the red zone. And that's what it came down to.
Noah?
Hi Dave, we've talked about the run game throughout the year, but where would you assess where it is at now or these last 2 games?
Well, it's evolved. I think they're doing a great job schematically with their personnel. It's different than it was earlier in the year, when the quarterback was healthy and he could run the entire offense with his legs and his arm. You're defending something different than when you're rotating 2 quarterbacks and one of them's running most of the time and the other one's in there to run their normal offense without running. So it's different, and they're very creative. When Haynes King is in there, at least speaking about last week's game, obviously this could be different for us. But when he's in there, they're every possible quarterback run game you could imagine with misdirections and shifts and trades and formations and adjustments. And so they really made Miami work. And schematically we're much different. And so obviously I don't get the cliff notes on how they're going to plan for us. But they did a really good job. They were smart in their prep. They had a week off getting ready for that game. You could see they did a lot schematically to give themselves an edge against that team. And using angles and getting +1 runs with their package with 10 in the game. And then, when they brought in their throwing quarterback, I guess you would say, while Haynes' arm is still not where it was last week anyway, they were back into their traditional offense and still running the ball with their tailback, but the pass game that comes with it, So it's hard to know because, they had 10 more days to get ready for us. If they're going to be a 1-quarterback system like they were, or if we're going to see what we saw in the Miami game. And that's why I said what I did at the beginning. There's going to be some adjusting for us because they've evolved a lot as their personnel has changed, and that's what they should do, and that's what good coaches do. You have to make the most of your personnel, and they've been able to do that and stay physical and run the football.
And just to follow up on that, where would you say your run game is at right now going into these last 2 games?
Well, it depends on what game you watch. It's been inconsistent. Thought it was really good against Stanford 2 weeks prior, and this past week it was not good. It was less than good. So we're inconsistent right now. And so that's the biggest thing, is being more consistent. We've had good games. We were climbing. I think we were almost at 3 yards a carry at one point. We got it up above 4 yards a carry coming out of the Stanford game for the season, and now we're back below it, because of the negative yardage plays that took place in that game.
Ethan?
Dave, you mentioned that this team has to win one of the next two at least to become bowl eligible. How much pride do you take in the bowl streak that you've built over the past few years, and how much pride does the program overall take in reaching bowls?
Yeah, in the last 10 years, we're second in this conference in bowl appearances behind Clemson. And so we've built a program that's had success over a period of 10 years, and I take a lot of pride in that. So the guys take a lot of pride in finishing, take a lot of pride in facing adversity and overcoming it. And so there's all these things, and take a lot of pride in just winning, in general. Every game you get is an opportunity to be tested and go out there and put your medal up against somebody else's. And yeah, that's what this sport's all about, man. And the last thing you ever want to do is settle, the fact that we're 5-5, yeah, it's disappointing for sure. But I care a lot about how we finish and how you face up to the tests that you have. And so this one right here is going to be a physical test. I have a ton of respect for Georgia Tech and how they play the game. And so I'm looking forward to the competition, looking forward to facing their coaches, looking forward to our players facing their players, and doing it on the road in a hostile environment. It's a great opportunity to stand up and fight.
Rob?
Yes, so just expand on that question. Just if you can get that 6th win and you do get bowl eligibility, the tangible benefits of that, just do they outweigh not being able to go to a bowl, those practices and such? Is it something that's really important for the program going into 25?
Yeah, you get a lot of developmental time with your younger players, and we have, I really like our freshman class that we redshirted most of them, not all of them, as you know, but you get a lot of time with them, and the guys that you see as starters potentially next year, you get to soak them with reps, and then what it does is it gives them really valuable information going to the offseason program on what they can do to get better before spring ball. So it's, a precursor to spring football for them because they've just been taking backup reps or in some cases they're redshirting and their scout team players not getting a lot of reps. We do spend at least one day a week with the developmental guys in season every week. And so we're keeping them up to par in our systems, but the competition part of that's not the same as it would be during a bowl prep. And so it's valuable. And, for a young quarterback like CJ, it's more practice, it's more reps, and it's more time with a young receiving core. And all of that's beneficial to your program's development.
Does anyone else have a question? All right, Andrea?
Dave, as a follow-up to some of the red zone issues against Duke, was it something that they were doing against you guys once you went back and looked at the tape, or was it just failure to execute most of the time? And if it was that, what do you attribute some of that to?
There's a little bit of both. They did do a good job, so you have to give them credit. Depending on which series you're watching, they were really pressuring us down there, and we did not, in my opinion, handle that well enough. They covered us too. There were times where we had protection, didn't get open. There were times where we didn't have protection and had a guy to throw it to. And then there's a couple times we just needed to make a play. And so there's a lot of things there. And, as coaches, you always look at what happened and how you can be better in those areas. 100%. Anytime it doesn't work, you can say we could have called better plays, and I agree with that. We could have called this, could have called that, but that's easy after the game to say, Within the game, it comes down to executing the play that's called, having good rules for the guys. But there's a lot of things when you talk about 5 drives down there, and we had 7 drops. And we tied the game up 12-12, and after that had 7 drops and gave up an explosive play for a touchdown. So, I think it's pretty easy to say when you look back on it, we had our chances to win. and we didn't make enough plays to get that done. But the biggest area that you go to is the red zone. Like, we want to be 75% touchdown down there. And so even if we were 50%, which is well below our goal, we win the game. And even if we were 20% and make a 36-yard field goal, which we normally make, that's his only miss under 40 yards, we win the game. And so, yeah, it's tough when you lose a game like that and you had your opportunities. Be different, if you couldn't move the ball all day, you never got in the red zone, you didn't have these opportunities. We had them, and we didn't finish. And so something that we got to be way better at, obviously.
Ethan?
Dave, you mentioned the freshman class, and I noticed on the unofficial depth chart, guys like Zane and Trent Mitchell have worked their way onto that, and I was wondering what you've kind of seen about those guys that kind of earned them increased opportunities.
Yeah, some of it's depth because of injuries that have elevated guys. Zane's been impressive all year. He's physically put together. He's not a guy that has to gain a lot of weight. He's a guy that has to learn a lot still. But we wanted to play him in 4 games on special teams. We got one more game with him that we'll be able to play him and get him reps. Cannon Lewis is another guy. We're going to redshirt, but we're playing him in 4 games. Ronnie Royal, another guy that we're going to redshirt, but we're playing him in 4 games. So you're getting to see that with some of these players. Jonathan Paylor, same thing. With Trent Mitchell, we've had some guys nicked up, and we're able to get him reps. We also have put him on the scout team a lot to get him reps against our starting D-line, because I think that's, in my opinion, the best way to improve as a lineman is to have to face guys like Davin Van and Trevally every day as a tackle. You're going to get a lot better doing that. And so we've made sure he's gotten down there. We made sure Rico's gotten down there, Darion Rivers, all these younger guys, to give them that value of the competition of playing against pretty dang good D linemen every day. But then also bringing them up some where we can keep them vested in the system and make sure they're developing.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Jaden?
Is there any update on Devin Boykin / he's been out for so long. Is he a guy that maybe we would hold on to him for next season without, burning any?
Yeah, still not ready to play him. He is now actually cleared to practice, and so we're getting him on the field, getting his feet. This is the first week of that, so it's going to take some time. And so day to day, I guess would be the right way to say it, but he will not play in this game. But it's exciting to have him back on the field. First time he's been out there, and he's not doing a lot yet, but he's gone through the entire rehab process. He's busted his butt. He's had a great attitude. But still baby steps, trying to get him, it's a long process, and the last thing you want to do is rush it.
Is there anything else?
All right, thank you guys.